Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Friday live stream. Sorry about that little technical difficulties with audio, but we are here. So let's just jump into it. First of all, if you ever invested into Celsius, like I did, and you got screwed, like we all did, there's a letter that just went out. And the person that covered this marvelously is Aaron Bennett. And it is a real email that just went out. This is our 4th distribution, and it is the largest distribution. So I linked it. There's a link in the description for Aaron's channel, and you can watch that specific video about what's going on. He does a fantastic job of covering it. And yes, more things are being released from Celsius, largest distribution, and it is legit. So that's good news for us in the crypto space. This is even better. This is Jeremy Allaire, and he was sitting down at the WEF, the World Economic Forum, which everybody's been covering it. But I haven't seen this part covered that much. And I think it's much bigger than what people are letting on. And before we go on, I'm going to ask everybody a question. Did you know that you can create your own private large language model, or LLM, like ChatGPT? You can run it on your own computer and not have to do anything with ChatGPT or Gemini or Perplexity and everything else. Here's another thing that you might want to think about. Have you ever asked any ChatGPT or LLM or AI program something that maybe you shouldn't have asked? Maybe you uploaded some information like your health information. Maybe you uploaded something like your financial records or your sensitive information. If that's you, stick around. This is pretty damn important. Anyhow, Jeremy, who is the CEO of Circle, USDC stablecoin, one of the largest stablecoins in the world, right behind Tether, he's talking about WF, and he says one thing, and it is the exact same thing that is being echoed by CZ from Binance. So take a listen to this. This is about a minute or so, and we're gonna do a deep dive into what he talks about, which I think is gonna change the way that crypto is used forever. Here we go.
The next generation of blockchain networks, things like ARC, which Circle's building on, there's other new blockchain networks, are actually being designed specifically for agentic compute. They're designed specifically for the financial and economic activity of a world where 3 years, 5 years from now, one, I think, can reasonably expect that there'll be billions, literally billions of AI agents conducting economic activity in the world continuously on a continuous basis. They need an economic system. They need a financial system. They need a payment system. There is no other alternative, in my view, other than stablecoins to do that right now, and that can keep up with that pace of technological change. And so it's a critical focus for us, but not just us. There's a lot of other folks that are interested in this and contributing to the technical standards to support this upgrade to our digital economic system.
Well, how odd the CEO of a stablecoin company is saying that stablecoins are going to be used a lot. How crazy is that? So there's not just Jeremy Allaire, but CZ echoes the same sentiment. Take a listen to this.
The crypto space, there's really two proven industries, the exchanges and stablecoins. Those are large businesses. I'm really excited about 3 new more. I think tokenization is a huge one. I'm talking with probably a dozen governments about tokenizing some of their assets, because this way the government can actually realize the financial gains first and use that to develop those industries, extractions, the trading markets, etc. Payments is something that we've tried, have not really conquered have not really started in crypto. We tried, but nobody really pays in crypto. But I think now we're seeing the convergence of traditional payment methods being behind the scenes, being supported by crypto. So the spenders swipe a card, crypto gets deducted from their account. The merchants gets US dollars or euros or however, whatever they get. So now when we have those bridges, I think payments is going to become pretty big. The third one is what you guys all mentioned is AI. The native currency for AI agent is going to be crypto.
So first of all, before we move on, I will say, I understand the argument. People will say, well, of course they want stable coins to work because they're in crypto and so on and so forth. Look, if you're a small business owner right now and you're accepting Visa or MasterCard, any credit cards or debit cards, I'm going to tell you right now, you're paying through the nose. It's either 1% or 2.99% plus 30 cents per transaction fee. You get charged that on everything else that you have to do. So if we're talking about like, hey, why would they talk about stablecoins and transactions and payments? It's because it's a hell of a lot cheaper and it's better for businesses out there. Now, when we talk about this, about stablecoins, I want to take a deep dive into it and see, like, is this really have weight to it? And I got to tell you, it does. And it put me down a rabbit hole and it was pretty interesting. So we just talked about this. There's Jeremy Allaire. And just to make a fine point real quick about what Jeremy said, I want to read this back. 3 to 5 years from now, one can reasonably expect that there will be literally billions of AI agents conducting economic activity in the world on a continuous basis. These AI agents will perform high velocity transactions, often in tiny amounts, fractions of a cent. We're talking 0.0006, 0.0003. And only stablecoins can handle that as their programmable, global, instant, and low cost. First of all, banks had their opportunity, they blew it. They're going to get blockbustered, and they're going to get passed up by us. Clarity Act, which is going through the chopping block right now, they need to get on board with that. And once they can get on board with that, and we can actually change it to where it's actually positive for the crypto space, as Brian Armstrong laid out for the CEO of Coinbase, then things will start moving, and banks will be like, oh, we should have done this the whole time, and actually we can make a heck of a lot more money, and everybody's happy. So here we go. But the question I had asked is, what the hell is he talking about? Because if we're talking about microtransactions, it doesn't make any sense. I'm not doing microtransactions when I go to Walmart to pick up chuck roast and things like that. This doesn't make any sense to me. So we got to break it down. So the AI agent economy, there's 4 pieces to this. There's a granular economy or micropayments, like Jeremy was alluding to. Agents trading, and we're not talking about like trading like with on some type of trading platform, trading view, or doing things on like MEXC or leverage trading. No, it's like taking the time to do the things that you want to do, and it can actually trade these micropayments for time. Continuous negotiation, you can get like more power in your GPU, energy, bandwidth, energy, all that great stuff. And then the last one is called gated APIs, when we can integrate, and why this is so important. So the question that I asked myself was this: well, can we just do that now? If I need like some type of payments for a news article, if I want to buy power source, if I want to do something with bandwidth or cloud storage, or if I want to get into an API, can I just do that with like my debit card or my credit card? Yes, I can. But that's where things are going to change, because it goes like, when we get to that, it'll make a little more sense. But right now, you can't make any kind of micropayments. The banks don't do it that well. And we just talked about credit cards and Visa and MasterCard and things like that. You can't do wire transfers because, some wire transfers is $20 per wire transfer. You can do a check, but no one's doing that. So for all these things, the banks could have done this. And stablecoins can do it right now, and it can be very cheap depending on the rails that were built, and we'll talk about that. But this would lead me to the point of, why are things changing, and why was Visa tracking all these changes on their website? There's a website put out by Visa, On-Chain Analytics. We covered this a couple of times in the channel, and it goes over and just takes a look at the largest chains as by volume and total transactions, and they're taking a look at Tether and USDC, which is 93% of all the stablecoin market. And what's always fascinating to me is the ones that are always on top. And over the last 12 months, it's been the same thing. Actually, the last 24 months has been the same thing. It's been the best. And the best are the Binance Smart Chain, Binance, Ethereum, Solana, and Tron. So when we talk about these stable coins, you have to think about, well, I'm not going to do anything with stable coins. You're going to do the things with the chain that it's built on. So let's break down these 4 types of payments. So the first one, these micropayments. Like I said, I'm not going to do a micropayment for Netflix. They're not going to allow me to pay 0.006 cents for Netflix, right? But let's just say you got something like this, where you go to like the Financial Times and you want to read this article about, what is this? NATO chief Donald Trump discussed revamp. Okay, if I want to read this article, apparently it's $300 for the first year for Financial Times, or you can do a I guess a discount from $542.99 for the first year. No one's paying that. But the question that you're going to have is, well, that's simple. I'll just get around that. All I got to do is just go to some other site like Yahoo News or something like that and just kind of type it in and go from there. So the question is like, for these micropayments, for these types of things, and we're talking about this, we're talking about reports, we're talking about PDFs, things like that. Like, why would I do this? Why would anyone pay for this info? I just use another source. It's because I want to ask you a question. I want you to think about this. What's the most finite asset in the world? What's the most like, I'm not talking about scarcity, like gold and silver and stuff like that. Like, what's the most finite asset in the world? It's not Bitcoin. It's time. If I can pay 0.001 cents to read this article real quick, I'm going to do it. I think a lot of people are going to do it. then the next question is, well, why did Financial Times do that? Because as time goes on, no one's paying for that subscription. Very few people. But if they can get, I don't know, half the US, half the globe, who knows how much, and they're all paying, fractions of a penny, they'll do it, and they'll make a lot of money doing it too. And that's, I think, what's happening. So think about this part here about what's the most finite asset when we're talking about this one. So here's another example of micropayments. Let's say that you want to do a vacation. You want to come to Puerto Rico. So you go to your AI agent and say, first you have to do all the lookup. Like, okay, what's a good time to go to Puerto Rico? I need to avoid some things. And also, here's the time I'm looking for. I also need a flight. I also need a hotel. Also, tell me about the food. I've also got this allergy and everything else. You can do all that time. Or maybe you can just go to an AI agent and say, look, I need you to do this. Book me a flight to Puerto Rico. You already have my calendar, which is hooked into you. You already have my micropayments, which is my crypto wallet. I'm using USDC at this point. Now find me a place and book me a hotel. Okay, so I did all those types of things. It cost you fractions of a penny. I did all those things. I found you I didn't find you a hotel. I found you an Airbnb. It's close to the beach like I know that you like to be because you're always posting on Facebook. You really should get off that, but whatever, that's not my job. Also, I know that you got an allergy to food. So when you're on the flight, I picked chicken instead of pork. And also, I was going to book you at this one particular place, but it had a high crime rate. So I put you back in this other place, which is near the beach. You're going to like it a hell of a lot more. Also, it's going to cost you a penny. Great, I'll do that. So when we're talking about these types of things and micropayments and what AI can do, I'll pay for that. I'll pay for that all day long. So we have that part as far as agents trading. That's just one example, there's many. And this one's the interesting one, optimization. So what if we could pay for compute power, like computational power that's being used for AI? Well, that'd be great. Do I need that? Yes, I'll tell you why in a second. Also, what about for storage and bandwidth? Maybe I don't need so much. Maybe I want to, or maybe instead of the storage I need, maybe I need more bandwidth at a particular time. Like for me, when I do live streams, I would pay an extra 10 cents or whatever it is to actually get a better bandwidth so everybody can watch me and not glitch out. That'd be something. And the last one would be energy. What if I could, I don't know, have an agent who could barter for me 24/7, 365 and give me the cheapest rate for electricity as it bets against other agents, and it gets me and I'm able to store that energy, batteries needed obviously, at the non-peak hours, so my electricity bill gets cut in half. Would you pay a dime for that? Would you pay 6 cents? Would you pay 0.006 cents for that? I'd pay for that. And then I can actually save money across the way. But this last one here, I was confused about compute power. Who needs that? No one needs that. And what is this? Oh, this is why you do need it. So I forgot who said this on X, but they said, if you're using somebody like ChatGPT, or you're using Claude, or you're using Perplexity, or whatever you're using as far as AI, we're all using it, let's be honest. But just know that it's hooked up to some sort of business, some sort of corporation that is behind it. And who knows which big brother is behind that. I got to tell you, I don't use ChatGPT anymore because the responses it gives me, one, wrong. Second of all, it seems like they're leaning in a political direction. That's just my assessment. Tell me where I'm wrong. If you got a different opinion, that's fine. But what if you could do that and you could do your own LLM privately? Now, I know somebody in the comments section at the very beginning said, hey, I'm not going to have a LLM or ChatGPT downloaded onto my computer. Are you crazy? Well, that's just it. When you download this LLM, and apparently there's hundreds, I had no idea about this. But when you do that, all the things that you may have uploaded, which you probably shouldn't have, which is like any kind of legal document, any kind of health records, any kind of financial documentation, you probably shouldn't have uploaded, because guess what? It goes to Google, it goes to OpenAI, it goes to whoever, and they have all the information for you. Now, who knows if the government can ever come in? But not only that, who knows what they could be using that information for to do the different things they do for you? They've already stolen all your data. So if you could just download a specific piece and then you could run an LLM on your computer, it's a one-time cost, data is private, it stays at your house, and You know how you get some of those like responses that you seem like, hey, why are you leaning in that political direction? Well, there is none of that. And to go over this and how this works, there's a great video. It's pretty good. It's by Network Chuck. And he says, run your own private AI. And it's very simple. And it's a one-time cost setup and go from there. It's not sponsored. This is just a video that somebody put out. That when I took a lot of the research, I'll probably be doing this myself. Because I got to tell you, all the information that I've uploaded to AI, probably shouldn't have done that. And the last question here before we go into the last number 4 and get out of here, which is, well, couldn't altcoins do this? Because we were just talking about, which made a lot of sense, which was, compute power. Well, you got Aether for that and Render and Akash, a network, I suppose. What about storage? What about Filecoin and Arweave? And what about energy for like altcoins? What about energy web token or whatever it is? I don't know. If you have those types of things for altcoins, the question I'm asking myself, and I'd like you to ask yourself, is this. What do these tokens do that the AI agents that are buying these things can't do? And what is the risk to invest into these versus investing into these? Now, obviously, I have a biased opinion, but I own Render, I own Aether, I have a little bit of Filecoin, I think, somewhere, but not much at all. I don't own Arweave. But I own a lot of these. So maybe I'm just skewed the wrong way. But when I take a look at stablecoins and what AI agents can do with them as far as buying these things, I just don't see a purpose for those. Anyhow, let me know in the comments where I'm totally messed up and wrong. And then the last one is API integration. Now, this doesn't make much sense for most people. You're like, why would I need an API integration? Well, here's an example. That's Ben singing in his microphone at karaoke night. Just kidding, that's from his thumbnail that I made for him. It's a good one. It's about Into the Metaverse. And Ben's website is great because he spends a boatload of money on integrations. I think he told me one time, and it would crush the average person. That's why I love the website. It's great. But he's got API integration with a whole host of things, right? He's got Glassnode and Chainalysis and the Fred economic data. He's got CoinGecko and everything else. So like if you're going to run your private LLM on yours, you're going to need some type of API integration. And you don't want to be like Ben and spend X amount of dollars. What if you could just spend like for every query like 0.004, 0.002, whatever else it is. And then it actually wouldn't be so bad for this API integration to get like real precise up to the minute data. I think that will be the big thing. And that's why for micropayments, you can't do that with a credit card. You can't do that with a debit card, but you can do that with stablecoins. And talk about all these things to finish this up, I sure as heck gave a really rosy picture of stables. So let me give you the bad news. The bad news for stablecoins, as afraid as we all were about central bank digital currencies or CBDCs, hate to break it to you, stablecoins are no better. As far as between 2023 and 2025, there's been a massive amount of freezing done by both Tether and USDC. This was 7,268 blacklisted USDT addresses, 3.3 billion worth, roughly, frozen USDT, 1.75 billion USDT frozen on Tron, 372 blacklisted USDC addresses, 109 million frozen USDC, and that's a 30x scale difference in value and address count. So I'm not here to debate like, well, what if they were the cartel? And what if they were terrorists and all those things? Suppose so. I'm pretty sure they got some of them. But some of those were just upstanding citizens just trying to make some transactions, and they got caught in the crossfire, and they're not getting that money back. So last thing is this. And this, I think, is the bigger thing. As I just made a case for how great it is, I'm going to give a counter argument, which is this. If I'm making these micro payments, everything should be cool, right? 0.006 here, 0.007 here. And of course, I'm going to keep paying for my Netflix subscription, which actually has gone up. But the question that I have, and the thing that I worry about is this. When I first got on Netflix, it was a DVD service because I'm old. And after a couple of years, then it was DVD and streaming. And then they just dropped the DVD part. And in the beginning, it was $8. Actually, it was $7.99 in 2010. And before that, for the DVD service, I think it was like 12 bucks. And then it was both, and so on and so forth. But what you'll notice here is that with Netflix, the price kept going up. $11.99 for premium, $8 for basic, and over time, the price just goes up. That's not the big deal. We know prices are going to go up with inflation. The thing that I worry about, I think that is just going to keep happening again and again, which is they're going to have other services. They're going to charge you for other things. And it's the same thing with back in the day when we had cable. I don't know if you guys remember that. Cable was a big thing. I don't know if you still have it. But cable used to be pretty cheap. And then it got to like be 50 bucks a month. Then it was 80 bucks a month. Then it was $120 a month. And then there was this big thing called cut the cord. And you cut the cord and you just use like little Netflix, maybe a Paramount Plus, maybe a Disney Plus. It wasn't a big deal because it was like $8, $9, $10. Then all of a sudden, now premium is $25. Paramount Plus is $50. Disney Plus is $100. And before you know it, you're paying through the nose. You're paying more than what you paid for when you had all the other services for cable. So when I look at this, I'm just trying to make the argument like, this sounds awesome and great, but they might just nickel and dime you to death. And that's it for today. So look, if you like today's video, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing when we talk about it. It's time sensitive. That is it for this one. Let me know what you think about that in the comments, and let's get into a little Q&A, and I'll answer more of your questions. Well, that's true. But Mo has a good point. Price didn't go up, dollar buys less. That's very true. This is why I keep buying Bitcoin every single day. I'm short-term bearish, but I'm long-term thinking things will be just fine. And as long as the government keeps debasing the currency, and all governments keep doing the same thing, I'll keep buying those things. Probably should have bought more gold and silver, but hey, what are we going to do? Let's see. Twinklebell says, with the AI companies buying up most components to make a computer, can't run a local AI, the big tech doesn't want us to own anything, use their stuff. Yeah, and that's just it. And also, if you just do a search for private LLM on YouTube, you'll find a bunch of resources, and it's relatively cheap to do those things. Now, for the upgrades and all the things that Google Gemini might offer, and what Grok might offer with moving pictures and stuff like that, I don't know if you need that. But if you don't, it's a pretty good viable option just to go the other route. And I would think like this. I think this will make sense. You know how some of us have cash on hand? We like to use cash. Cash is great. You know why cash is great? Because you can't track it. And not that I'm saying to do untrackable things. I'm just saying it is nice to have cash on hand. With your debit and credit card, it can be tracked anywhere you want it to be, which is great for businesses and things like that. So for taxes and reasons, stuff and such. What if you could have like a ChatGPT that is just for you, or an LLM that's just for you, and just the things that you don't want Big Brother to know, and then you use the other stuff, or you don't really care what people want? I think that'd be a big thing. If privacy is such a big issue, especially for payments, that's why Monero and Zcash are so popular nowadays. Wouldn't that be the same thing for your LLM? And again, it's not that hard to set up, apparently, from what the video says. So I'm going to see if I can do it myself. Looks relatively easy. All right. What's a penny? What's a penny? I think they stopped minting those, as a matter of fact. And I won't pick up pennies, nickels and dimes. Don't API provides access to your computer. How can we be sure that access is limited as much as possible? You have to do a lot of deep dive into it. I mean, so like right now, as far as like APIs, access to your computer, when all the funnel and the information that comes to you, it would just like connecting to any kind of website and pulling things in. So there is a risk. And actually, I think this is one of the risks that it wasn't Coinbase. It may have been MEXC. Maybe it was Ledger. I don't know. They always seem to get hacked and everything kind of runs together. But there was a third-party issue with that. So, like with those types of things, like maybe the API integration that you're looking for, I don't know what actually it is, hopefully go to reputable sources as much as possible. And this is all if you actually need an API integration. If you don't need an API for like a specific, like, let's say you want an API integration with the Fed, right? Or for the Federal Reserve. Usually when you go to that website, there's an option for an API integration. You can get it. Chainalysis, same type of thing. It's a reputable source. You should be okay. Now then, if you go to a source called like, IndianFunTimes.org, and you can get all the financial information for the Federal Reserve. Maybe that's not a good idea to do. So I guess it would be just the same thing as try to do your best as much as possible. All right, let's see. I made that website up. API is supposed to read only. Sounds good. If I have a private AI, where does it go for new information? That's where you have to watch the video, and they lay it all out, how it actually works, and it goes from there. Privacy is dead. Copper is a good buy. Copper is a good buy. Should get more into that. All right. Rusty says, I tested Jan AI. You can download for free, and it does not need internet. That's the other thing about it. Like when I was watching the video, it said that all these LLMs that you download, it doesn't need the internet to connect, and you can use everything there. It was a massive undertaking as far as GPU processing and compute that they needed to build all these things. I don't know who did it. But the amazing part to me was you didn't need the internet. I even did an internet test. It's not perfect, but still, that's true. I'll take it. Free. Mr. Google already knows everything about you from the search you perform. That, and I just got a message today, like 20 minutes ago. Good news, if you like your data being leaked. 48 million Gmail usernames and passwords leaked online again. Whoopsie. So that's from Gmail. Everybody, if you have a Gmail account or you have anything stored in there, you definitely want to change your username and password, or at least your password. Also, on top of that, did you know that your Google Authenticator has backup codes through your Gmail account? It's true. So if they get into your Gmail account, guess what? They can use those backup codes for your Google Authenticator, and they can just use those to get into your exchange, which is why I have these goofy rules right here. Number one, it's all gone. Don't invest more than you can afford to lose. And I think some people are going to lose a lot. Number two, everything's a scam until proven otherwise. Number three, don't leave things on exchanges, because as we were just talking in the beginning, there's this place called Celsius that screwed a lot of us because we left way too much crypto on there. Voyager did the same thing, and so did FTX. And now because of this Gmail hack, you are at risk. So what do? Well, you take it off as much as possible. You put it in my favorite thing is a TANGEM card. And then you live your sweet life and don't do anything and just kind of hold it for a while. So, sorry about that. That sucks, but that's the world that we live in. Okay. That was depressing. Sorry. I'll stick with Encyclopedia Britannica from 1973. I'm good. Rusty Bot says, that's good, but fiat and stablecoins won't go up in price like the native tokens. True. That is why people buy them. Number go up. That is very true. Or you get a proton.me address. Yeah, you can do Proton. I don't know if anybody uses Proton, but my wife tried it out, and she's still got a bunch of spam emails. I don't know if anybody else has gone through that. But it does protect you a little bit better. Let's see. I think that's it. Yeah, I think I answered everybody's question. Oh, thanks, Jimmy. Hey, more good news. Binance passwords were also leaked. So, sorry. So, there's these rules that I have. I hear your eyes rolling in the back of your head. But for anybody who just came in, number 3, don't leave things on exchanges, because that's where everything goes wrong. All right, enough of the down talk. I'm going to get off my soapbox. Everybody, thanks so much for your time. I was just kidding. I know market's a little bit boring, but this was exactly what it was like back in 2022. It was boring. We'd see like sideways chops, then drops, and more drops, and then up and back and go. Very boring. just stick around. I think you're gonna like where we're gonna be. It's gonna take some time. But that's it for today. Thanks so much for stopping by. I appreciate you. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one tomorrow.